We have graphed linear equations, and now we are going to graph linear inequalities. So instead of y equals 5/3 x minus 4, in this case we have y is less than or equal to 5/3 x minus 4. This is done exactly the same way, or you start it the same way as when you were graphing equations. So you find your y-intercept. The y-intercept is -4. So you put a point at -4. The slope is 5/3, so you go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 3, and you put a point, and do it again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 3, do it again, and you have those points, but here's what you've got to look at for the linear inequalities. You know, when we were graphing just regular inequalities, we had to look for whether it was an open circle or a closed circle, right? So here we have an equal to, and an equal to is the same thing as a closed circle, right? And if it would be a closed circle, we want a solid, that's supposed to be an S, a solid line. That means it can actually equal that line. So I'm going to do one more point. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back 3 so that I have plenty of points here to look at. And I'm going to do a solid line because it said equal to. If the equal to is there, it's a solid line. Now, we need to decide, are the rest of the points that are solutions to this, are they above this line or are they below this line? And the way we're going to do this is we're going to pick a test point. Now, you can pick any point on the coordinate plane except for a point that's on the line, okay? A point that's on the line will not work. And so any other point. So be nice to yourself. And I'm going to look over here and I see that the origin is not on the line. And I like dealing with zeros because zeros make things disappear and is easy to do. So I'm going to pick my test point of 0, 0, and I'm going to plug this into the equation and see if it's true or false. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So I'm going to ask, is 0 less than or equal to 5/3? I'm going to plug in 0 for x minus 4. Okay, so I work this out. 5/3 times 0 is 0, and then 0 minus 4 is -4, right? 0 minus 4 is -4. And I'm going to ask myself, is this true or false? Is 0 less than or equal to -4? This is false, okay? And so since that's false, that means this side of the line where 0, 0 was is not part of the solution. So I'm going to shade on the other side of the line. Since that was a false statement, I shade on the other side of the line. And don't fill it in. Do little lines like this. Don't like actually shade in the whole thing because we need to be able to see what's going on underneath that, especially for what's coming up in a couple of lessons. Okay, so let's do the next one. Y is greater than -1/2 x plus 7. So we're going to start by graphing the line in slope-intercept form. So the y-intercept is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The slope is -1/2. So I'm going to go down 1 and right 2. And these are big coordinate planes, and I suggest you fill them up, okay? Put as many points as you can fit in both directions because we want this to be clear about what we need to do, okay? So I need to know whether to have a solid line or not. Well, this is not equal to. And if it's not equal to, this is like an open circle when we were doing regular inequalities. And I can't really do a circle as a line. So what we do instead, we do a dashed line. If there is not an equal to under the inequality, we do a dashed line. And this is what it's going to look like. We're going to go dash, 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 dash. That's a dashed line. That means it can't equal that line. It can go up to that line, but it can't equal that line. And once again, we need to pick a test point because we need to know, do we need to shade below the line or do we need to shade above the line? So since 0, 0 is not on the line, you can't pick a point that's on the line, I'm going to pick 0, 0 as my test point, and I'm going to plug it into the inequality. So the y value is 0, and I want to know, is that greater than negative 1/2 times 0 plus 7? So I get 0 is greater than, negative 1/2 times 0 is 0, and then 0 is greater than, 0 plus 7 is 7. Is 0 greater than 7? This is false. Since this is false, that means wherever 0, 0 was, which is over here on this side of the line, is not part of the equation. And I'm sorry, is not part of the solution. And if that's not part of the solution, I have to shade the other side. Okay, so since 0, 0 is not part of the solution, I shade the other side of the line. Now let's look at our special cases. If I have just an x in my equation, we saw that this is a vertical line. That means x is negative 6 on every point on that line. So I go over to negative 6 on the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this would be a vertical line. So the x-coordinate of every point on that line is negative 6. So it would be a vertical line. Now, is this a solid line or a dashed line? Since there's no equal sign under that greater than, we are going to do a dashed line. So this is a dashed vertical line through negative 6. And I missed it a little bit, but I'm dealing with a big, thick stylus. Now, we want to know what is, or where, which side of the equation, which side of the line, I'll get it right in a minute, is greater than negative 6. Well, I'm going to choose my test point. 0, 0 is not on the line, and I'm going to plug that into the inequality. Well, my x value is 0. There is no y value in the equation, and I'm going to ask, is 0 greater than 6? I'm sorry, greater than negative 6? It is. That's true. So since 0, 0 makes a true statement, that means that everything over here on the side with 0, 0 is part of the solution. So we're going to shade it, and the way we shade it is with lines like this, okay? Do not color it in solidly. Just make sure it's easy to see which way you're going on the coordinate plane. All right, so let's look at the very last one. As we reviewed in class, if there's just a y, this is a horizontal line, right? Because it's 0x plus 1. So my y-intercept is 1, and every y value on that line is 1. So that's a horizontal line. Is this going to be a dashed line or a solid line? Since it's an equal to, it's a solid line. So I'm going to draw in a solid line at y equals 1, okay? And then I want to know which way to shade. Well, I'm going to pick my test point, and I always pick 0, 0 if it's not on the line. So 0, 0, well, the y value is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 1? Yes, that's true. So since 0, 0 is a solution, that means everything on the same side of the line as 0, 0 is a solution. So I'm going to shade, and by shade, I mean draw these little lines like this. Do not draw it in solidly. And that whole, we call it a half plane, is the solution to this linear inequality.